Hey, this is Dr. Rob Wam, and I am your Chief Science Officer at Dymatize. You know that I go around the world and I speak in front of large audiences, all the way down to one-on-one with specific athletes. The goal is the same everywhere I go, to educate people on how to get the most out of their athletic training, how nutrition can create the unlock to get athletes, everyday athletes, to the highest level from point A to point where they want to be, and to get there as quickly and most efficiently as possible. During this downtime, I thought it would be great, and Pete and Ben and Brad, and we all thought it would be great to bring some of that information to you and to do it in a way that's fun. So I'm creating videos, educational videos on different nutrition and athletic nutrition topics. This is the first one, and it's all about protein. So sit down, get comfortable, grab a pen, grab a paper, and just watch it at your leisure. This is some of the information that we present around the world on protein, training, and athletic performance. Brought to you by Dymatize. We'll begin with the basics on body protein. We'll also move into macros, carbohydrates, proteins, and fat, and priorities for these different macronutrients when they come from the food to how the body wants to handle them. We're going to look at protein balance, that's building versus breakdown, in muscle and elsewhere in the body. We're going to talk how muscle protein adapts to exercise training. We'll also look at protein balance over the 24-hour period, total daily muscle protein. How does protein in the body as well as protein in the diet influence metabolism? And the response to protein balance after exercise and in response to a protein meal. We'll go into different types of protein and how they're different. And then we'll talk about two application scenarios, nighttime protein or having protein before bed, as well as having protein before lower to low moderate intensity cardiovascular exercise, what is often called fasted cardio, and why it's important to have protein before. Let's begin with some basics. Protein is the structural and functional basis of the human body. It's also one of the most plentiful substances in our body. For a lean man, it might be approximately 16% of our body weight, with about 2/3 of our body protein within the muscle. For people who train and build bigger muscles, especially if they're lean, that percentage goes up. Our body will contain hundreds of different proteins, and how different parts of our body, the cells within our bodies, know which proteins to make and how to make them, this is coded in our DNA, the instructions for building protein in cells. Diet macros serve different purposes within the body, and the body will prioritize these macros based on the needs of the body. By and large, carbohydrate and fat in the diet serve as fuel for the human body, while a little bit of protein also serves as fuel. But by and large, protein, the priority of protein, is to serve the structural and functional needs of the human body. The amino acids in protein will serve as building blocks for the hundreds of different proteins within the body, and the amino acids can also serve to build key molecules such as creatine and certain neurotransmitters. Meanwhile, a little bit of carbohydrate, primarily in the form of fiber, can support prebiotic roles within the digestive tract, while certain fatty acids can play key regulatory and structural roles within the circulatory system, nervous tissue, and the immune system. Let's just reinforce that key point. Protein is different than fuel from carbohydrates and fat. Protein is the structural and functional basis of the human body and skeletal muscle. We have to think about it that way. When we talk about nourishing with protein, we're talking about providing the building blocks so that muscle can get bigger or stronger, faster and more enduring, however you trained it. By and large, when we talk about carbohydrate and fat, for the most part, we're talking fuel to power muscle action and to keep the body in a good energy state throughout the day so that you can recover and get ready for your next training session. But protein and carbohydrate and fat should be separated in your macro discussions. Let's go deeper into the relationship between protein and skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is wet tissue. More than 73% of muscle is water. 20 to 22% is protein. If you are able to remove the water from muscle, that will concentrate the protein to greater than 85% of the dry weight. This really helps us understand that if we want to change muscle size or performance, we really have to focus on changing muscle protein. We can focus on how muscle protein changes. Muscle protein is very dynamic. It is constantly being broken down and being built by different systems that do this. It's not the same system going in opposite directions. These are different systems that build muscle protein and break down muscle protein. What we're left with is an algebraic sum where muscle protein synthesis minus muscle protein breakdown equals a net change in muscle protein over the course of a day. Looking more closely at how to make positive changes in muscle size or performance, we want to tip the balance scale towards muscle protein synthesis. This is especially true if we want to build size of muscle mass. We want synthesis to be greater than breakdown over a unit of time, such as a day, week, or month. Only then, when muscle protein synthesis or building is greater than breakdown, yielding a net positive change in muscle protein, will we directionally move towards our goal. So one of the biggest takeaways here is that protein in muscle and protein throughout the body is always in a state of flux. Proteins are always being made, and at the same time, proteins are always being broken down. It never stops.